Imagine a massive industrial plant in your town. Tomorrow morning, without warning, the management padlocks the front gates and shuts down operations forever. How does the surrounding town react? Do the locals mourn the loss of a vital partner, or do they breathe a massive collective sigh of relief? The answer to that single question reveals exactly how well a business manages its social impact. It cuts through the glossy annual reports and gets right to the truth. We can call this the disappearance test. It is a straightforward framework to evaluate whether a corporation has actually integrated itself into the fabric of its host community. The result serves as a hard metric of operational survival, proving that the company's presence is structurally beneficial to its hosts. The most dangerous myth in corporate strategy is that a company exists in a vacuum. In reality, a business drops its physical footprint right in the middle of a living barangay, a functioning municipality, a distinct province. Every single day, that facility draws heavily from the town around it. It pulls workers, taps into municipal water, and grinds down public roads. In exchange, operations push out a heavy burden, degrading air quality, spiking noise, and creating daily traffic bottlenecks. For decades, the standard corporate response to creating this kind of structural friction was to write a modest check for a local charity and call the ledger balanced. Superficial public relations cannot repair a degraded watershed or fix a crumbling intersection. These optics provide a thin layer of cover for deep infrastructural or environmental harm. If a business extracts physical resources and leaves behind systemic friction without offsetting that damage through meaningful contribution, the host community will naturally celebrate when those gates finally close. So, how does an operation anchor itself? How does it transform from an unwanted neighbor into a vital piece of the local machinery? The first step requires dropping corporate assumptions in favor of a rigorous community needs assessment. This means gathering hard data and having actual consultations with the people living directly outside the facility walls. Effective integration requires providing what the data proves a community actually requires, rather than donating whatever items are cheapest for the company to procure. That data directs the second step, livelihood development. A grounded operation deliberately sources its materials from local vendors and actively hires its workforce from the immediate surrounding barangays. By developing highly transferable skills in that local workforce, skills that will persist long after the company's specific operations end, the business functions as a permanent economic engine rather than a temporary extractor. This integration extends beyond the economy and straight into the soil. Any operation that degrades a local ecosystem assumes an absolute mandate to restore it. Genuine environmental stewardship requires measurable investments in the community's natural capital. That means executing targeted coastal rehabilitation projects or actively protecting the municipal watershed. A company's commitment to schools, clinics, and community centers represents a vital capital investment in the human infrastructure making daily operations possible. Finally, the operation requires a functional grievance mechanism. The community must have an accessible, reliable channel to voice concerns about the facility's impact. When locals use that channel to point out an issue, the company has to actively listen, correct the problem, and report back with data, ignoring the temptation to deploy a PR spin. When you map local needs, hire local labor, protect local ecology, build local infrastructure, and listen to local complaints, you construct a deeply interdependent system. At that point, removing the company would critically wound the town itself. Which brings us back to those padlocked gates on a quiet morning. If a business has rigorously executed these 5 integration steps over its lifetime, its relationship with the surrounding public has transitioned into a state of total interdependence. The business functions as a vital, symbiotic organ of the municipality, with its operations woven directly into the local life cycle. Treating community development as a core operational strategy provides the ultimate insurance policy for long-term viability. True social sustainability is achieved the moment a host community realizes that the company's continued survival is entirely inseparable from their own.